Hello, and today we are going to work on interpreting a remainder in a division problem. So first let's ask ourselves, what is a remainder? When a division problem does not divide equally, the amount that is left over is called the remainder. For example, 15 divided by 4 will give you 3, remainder 3. There are different ways to record a remainder. One way is to simply write the letter R followed by the value of the remainder, as shown in the problem 15 divided by 4 above. In the real world, we can't just write R and then the remainder. We have to do something. We have to interpret the remainder, especially in a word problem. Depending on the situation in a division problem, the remainder may need to be interpreted in one of the following ways. It can be dropped, which means you use only the quotient. It can round up the quotient, otherwise known as adding 1. You can write the remainder as a fraction, or, when the question asks, you can use the remainder as the answer. So let's take a look at each of the ways in which we're going to interpret the remainder. You can drop the remainder. Sometimes the remainder is simply ignored. Consider the following problem. 3 children wish to divide a set of 16 toy cars equally. How many cars will each child get? As a number sentence, that's going to look like 16 divided by 3. And when you do the math, you're going to get 5 remainder 1. But each child can't get 5 remainder 1 cars. That's not something that happens in real life. So, what is done with the remainder? Let's take a look. Think about what this looks like. You have 1 child, 2 children, 3 children. Child number 1 is going to get 5 cars. Child number 2 will also get 5 cars. Number 3 will get 5 cars. That's a total of 15 cars. But what happens to the leftover car? This extra toy car cannot be shared equally. Remember our number sentence, 16 divided by 3 equals 5 remainder 1. Looking at the picture, we can see this means that each child will get 5 toy cars, and there will be 1 car left over. Because this car cannot be further divided into equal parts, this is a leftover amount, and we need to ignore the extra car. So the answer, 3 children wish to divide a set of 16 toy cars equally. How many cars will each child get? Each of them is going to get 5 cars. You can't just divide that last car into thirds. That's not reasonable. So, in your head you could just say he donates it or something. Rounding up the quotient. Sometimes the quotient must be rounded up. Consider the following problem. Stephen has 34 music CDs. He wants to put them into boxes. Each box will hold 8 CDs. How many boxes will he need to store all of the music CDs? So as a number sentence, that's your 35 CDs divided into groups of 8 CDs, which will give you 4 remainder 3. Let's look, what does the remainder mean in this word problem? Let's take a look. You need to think about what this would look like. So here's your 4 boxes. Each box, as we know, is going to contain your 8 CDs. So 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 CDs gives you 32 CDs. But we know he has 35 CDs, so you have 3 CDs left over. What are you going to do with that? Let's remember our number sentence. 35 divided by 8 gives us 4 remainder 3. So in this case, he is going to need 5 boxes. 4 boxes will be full, and 1 box will hold the remaining 3 CDs. Writing the remainder as a fraction. Sometimes the remainder can be expressed as a fraction. Consider the following problem. 3 friends share 13 sticks of gum. How many sticks of gum does each friend get if they share the gum equally? So as a number sentence, that's going to look like this. 13 sticks of gum divided amongst 3 friends gives us 4, remainder 1. What does the remainder mean in this word problem? Let's take a look. All right, so you have friend 1, friend 2, friend 3. Friend 1 is getting your 4 sticks of gum. Friend 2 gets 4 sticks of gum. Friend 3 gets 4 sticks of gum. So 4 times 3 gives us 12. But there's 13 sticks of gum. So what happens with that last stick of gum? Well, in this case, because it's gum, we can actually just divide that last stick of gum into fractions. This would work really well for, pieces of candy or chocolate or pie or anything that can physically be divided up. It wouldn't have worked in the example with the car because you can't break up a car because at that point then you no longer have a car. It's just garbage, right? So looking at this picture, we can see this means that each friend will get 4 whole sticks of gum and there will be 1 stick of gum left over. However, this is a stick of gum can be divided into equal parts. Therefore, we can divide the remaining or the remainder stick of gum and give each friend a fraction, 1/3, of the stick in addition to the whole pieces each received. So when we write a remainder as a fraction, the numerator, your top number is the remainder, and the denominator is going to be your original divisor. So it will be 1/3. The answer to this problem is written as a mixed number. This term means that the answer is made up of a whole number, 4, the 4 whole sticks of gum, and a fraction, the 1/3 piece stick of gum. So each friend gets 4 1/3 sticks of gum. All right, and finally, we can use the remainder as the answer. Sometimes the remainder can be used as the answer. Consider the following problem. A family went on a 33-mile bike ride. Each day, they biked 7 miles, except on the last day. How many miles did they bike on the last day? As a number sentence, it will look like this. 33 miles divided by 7 miles a day gives us 4, remainder 5. What does the remainder mean in this word problem? Let's take a look. All right, so day 1, 7 miles. Day 2, they did 7 miles. Day 3, they did 7 miles. And day 4, they did 7 miles. That gives us a total of 28 miles. But we know that they rode 33 miles. So it's our job to find out what they did on the last day. They're not going to bike more than 33 miles, but they do need to complete the trip. So far, they've biked 28 miles. That was that 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. We need to find out how many miles they biked on the last day. So we need to answer the question with the number of the miles remaining. They biked 5 miles on the last day. You could almost think of this as a difference too. If they biked 28 miles, how many more miles until they complete their goal of 33 miles, which would give you 5. So when you use the remainder as the answer for this problem, you get 33 divided by 7 gives us 4, remainder 5. the family biked 5 miles on that last day. And again, it completely depends on what the question is. They could have easily asked you, how many days did they bike? And then you would have had a different answer. So be very careful with these. Really take notice of what they're asking. Because in this case, you needed the remainder. In another case, you could have rounded up. In another case, you could have used it as a fraction or ignored the remainder altogether. It really just depends. So just remember, depending on the situation in a division word problem, the remainder may need to reinterpret it in one of the following ways. You drop it, you can round up, you can write it as a fraction, or you can use the remainder as the answer. All right, that was bad.